Want to get paid on time so you can pay your bills on time? Well, that's the whole point in creating a rent collection method for your tenants. And it's more than just telling your tenants how much is due and what day it's due, but more importantly, it's telling your renters how to pay rent each month. I'm Casey from Rentec Direct, and in this video, we're going to talk about the most common rent collection methods and how advances in rental management technology have given rise to my favorite and most recommended way to collect rent each month. You're a busy person, I get it. That's one of the reasons you're so successful at this rental management game, right? But that's also one of the reasons that it's so important to have a good rent collection method in place for you and your tenants. Now, what makes a good rent collection policy? Well, it's one where you get paid on time, one that's convenient for you, and one that's convenient for your tenants. Convenience for you on the rental management side of rent collection means minimizing the amount of time that you're waiting for those funds to come in each month, giving yourself the knowledge to know that the funds are going to be available in your account that month, and minimizing the amount of time you will spend manually entering that data into your accounting software or rental management software. Convenience for your renters means making it easy for them to pay rent each month. That means minimizing the amount of time they have to spend physically going to a location, minimizing the effort they have to spend getting the funds available, whether that means handwriting a check, going to the bank, doing something online so they can pay rent each month. So I can think about 5 ways that a landlord or property manager can collect rent each month. Some are great, some are not so great, and some are awesome. But before I get into it, before we discuss these awesome, not so great, kind of great ways to collect rent each month, I want to hear from you right now in the comments. Tell me how you collect rent each month from your tenants. Collecting rent by check. This is one of the most common ways that renters pay rent each month to their landlord or property manager. It's pretty easy. A renter just writes a check and sends it in the mail, drops it off in a drop box, or hands it to you in person. And then you take that check, bring it to your bank, and voila, rent is paid and ready for you in your account. So what's not so great about paying rent by check each month? Well, you have to rely on the mail to deliver that check to you each month, and it happens, mail does get lost. And so you have to believe your tenants when they tell you that they mailed the check and it got lost in the mail. The other biggest inconvenience on the management side is that you have to physically go to the bank to deposit these checks. Now, if you have tons of checks coming in from multiple renters, that is a lot of overhead to wait for all of them to come in. If even one is late, that can mean you delay posting all of those to your bank. The other thing that's pretty inconvenient about checks is that you have to spend a lot of time doing manual entry into your accounting software or rental management software. And that translation from reading the amount on the check and putting into your software, there's always that chance of human error. It just takes one decimal place off, one number that's wrong or switched around in your mind, and your whole books can be off, and it can take a lot of time to track down what that misentry was. So one of the negatives about check payments for rent is that you have to deal with insufficient funds. It's pretty easy for a renter to just write a check if they don't have the funds available in their bank account. And then it's up to you to deal with it once you deposit that check and the funds aren't there. That means bounce check fees on your ends, and then dealing with the fact that you still haven't gotten your rent money from that tenant and you have to contact them and figure out what's going on. Now, is writing a check convenient for your tenants? I think so as a manager, but it depends on each tenant. If you require that a check be dropped off at a drop box and a tenant has to race over there every month, that could be kind of inconvenient. Or if a tenant is out of town on the day rent is due, they have to think ahead to make sure that a check is sent prior to them traveling and is post-dated to the correct date. So all these things are important to think about, whether it's convenient for you as a manager or landlord, and whether it's convenient for your tenant. Paying rent by cash each month. So cash payments actually are fairly common in the rental industry. It works if a property manager or landlord have set up that agreement with their tenants. Some managers also choose to do it with a tenant if they have a history of writing bad checks that have insufficient funds with them. When you get cash, you know, especially if you count it right there, that they have paid the full rental amount and the money is right there that you can put in your bank account. Now, I always think about the other side of that is getting all of that cash directly from your tenants that you then have to walk around with and take it to the bank to deposit in your account. Sure, it can be nice to have that money, but if you're working with even more than one tenant, suddenly that $1,000 from one tenant adds up to be a couple, even like tens of thousands of dollars that you have to physically take and bring to the bank. And that just sounds like a risk that I'm not willing to take, but it does work for some managers and tenants. Now, there are other risks involved with cash payments that maybe aren't so common, but I just have to share the story. So when I was renting about 5 years ago, I had an amazing landlord and he let us drop off either cash or check in the drop box. And then one day we got a letter from him saying, please, please, please do not send any more cash payments, because his dog had actually eaten the previous month's cash payments and had ended up eating over a few $1,000s in cash rent payments. And that was totally the manager's fault. He couldn't do anything about it except eat that loss. So besides cash and check, there are some other okay rent collection methods. They're not my preferred method, but they do seem to work for some property managers and landlords and tenant agreements. This can include direct bank deposits, in which you actually give your bank account information to a tenant and then they go to your bank each month and deposit money into your account. It can also be a money order, which works great for some people if they don't have a bank account and they want to pay with cash, but you don't collect cash payments. Also, there's a new technology where you can do cash payments at convenience stores, which is actually like a little kiosk that they have at like grocery stores or 7-Elevens. And a renter can go up to the kiosk, use their debit card or their credit card and make a payment to your account, and then you get that payment directly into your account. Additionally, you can do bank transfers through services like PayPal or Venmo. Now, every landlord or property manager who uses one of those methods, it probably and hopefully works really well for them. Now, it's not something I recommend because there are other risks associated with those, but it can work. So in my favorite, most recommended, thank goodness this is finally available to us, way to collect rent each month is online rent payments. Now, online rent payments is an awesome technology that's relatively new to the industry. It's basically the tenant's bank account is connected to your bank account and they send electronic funds directly into your bank account. That's one of the reasons why I love this method, is because it's an instantaneous connection where the funds are made readily available essentially the day you receive them. So I love online bank accounts for a couple reasons. Is because most property management softwares are integrated with online rent payment technology, which means no manual entry for your accounting data each month with those rent payments. Did you hear me? No manual entry. So that's less human error, less time you have to spend inputting rent payments into your accounting software, your rental management software. So another benefit with online payments is that your renters can set up automatic payments. Now, I'm gonna post a link to a study down below in the details in which it was proven in the rental industry that tenants that had access to online payments and set up automatic payments were less likely to incur late fees. That means that property managers got paid on time, spent less time waiting for rent payments to come in, and less time sending out late rent notifications to their tenants, and renters paid less late fee. So as with any rent collection method, there are going to be negatives to online rent payments. For one, your renter has to have a bank account or a credit card in order to make these online funds go through to your bank account. So remember, every rent collection method has its perks and its downfalls, but what's most important is that you find a method that works for you, fits with your management style, is convenient for you, and is convenient for your tenants. Because the more convenience that you give your tenants, the happier they'll be, the more likely they're gonna renew leases with you, and the more likely they're gonna refer you to their friends so you can keep those occupancy rates high. And you can keep collecting rent on time each month so you can pay your bills on time each month. I'm Casey from Rentec Direct, and I love talking to you about rent collection methods. And guess what? I know a ton more about property management and the rental industry. If you want to learn more for property managers, landlords, investors, and renters, go to rentecdirect.com/blog and find me on Twitter at @thatrentergirl. See you next time.